Now, yesterday I took delivery of one of the hottest laptops we've been anticipating here for 2022. For those of you wanting a ThinkPad, a premium ThinkPad with an AMD Ryzen processor, the 6000 series, well, stay tuned. We're going to look at it here today. Now, what arrived in the studio is the ThinkPad Z13. Now, I had a chance to check this out back in New York when I met with Lenovo for their CES showcase here for 2022, and I was blown away by not only the Z13, but its bigger sibling, the Z16, which hopefully I will be getting into the studio soon to review. But as far as the Z13 is concerned, you're looking at a premium display, the Ryzen 7 Pro, the 6850U. That's an 8-core, 16-thread processor, very efficient processor, as we'll talk about. And it also has really upgraded features, an edge-to-edge keyboard, a Force touchpad that is absolutely fantastic. And it also has a TrackPoint that has additional features we didn't have before. Let's see if this all comes together to make this the ThinkPad you've been waiting for. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my unboxing and first look review at the brand new Lenovo ThinkPad Z13 here for 2022. Coming up. Now, before we get to the unboxing, I want to let everybody know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, I'm not being paid by Lenovo. I'm not being sponsored by Lenovo. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Lenovo is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. And this is what you can expect with this brand new device. It's powered by a next-gen AMD Ryzen Pro U-Series processor, a black recycled vegan leather option, edge-to-edge keyboard, 120mm haptic force pad, up to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, up to 1 terabyte of PCIe Gen 4 SSD storage, infrared Full HD camera with e-shutter, and Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.2, and 4G LTE Cat16 modem option for those mobile professionals that need a secure and always-on connection. Pricing for the Z13 starts at $1,468.35. Price as tested here with my review unit, $1,851.85. For those interested, I'll leave a link in the description below for more information and where you can buy one. And with the specs and pricing out of the way, let's find out what you get inside the box. Let's open it up. And I absolutely love the fact that they're going with eco-friendly materials. That inner box is made out of bamboo and sugarcane, all recyclable or biodegradable materials, all very good. Now, they give you a 65-watt USB-C power adapter. We've seen this one before from Lenovo. It's pretty compact, easy to take with you in your bag. They also give you the extension cord. Lifting the lid, you're greeted by the unit itself, and the first thing that comes to mind, it has a little bit of heft to it for a 13.3-inch ultra-portable device, but it actually feels very premium. It feels substantial, it feels good. Not overly heavy, but it feels like there's something there, something good. Now, of course, you get some documentation, which includes some warranty information and a setup guide. So you have all that there in the box. And of course, you get the unit itself, and holding it for the first time, and all I can say is, wow, this thing feels super premium. Now, I have the vegan leather option on that lid, and the rest is all metal. The premium build, the boxy look to it gives it a nice industrial look, but it's very premium. It looks fantastic. I absolutely love the way this looks. And at 1.26 kilograms or 2.78 pounds, this is slightly heavier than the X1 Carbon Gen 10 that I took a look at, but this is very portable. Don't get me wrong, you just throw this in your bag and you're ready to rock on the road. Okay, let's check out the port selection. We're going to start off on the left side where you get one USB-C 4 port. It is a full function port supporting data charge and display out. Moving over to the right side is a 3.5mm microphone headphone combo jack, a power button with an LED indicator light within it, and a second USB-C 4.0 port that is full function as well. Notably missing, there's no USB-A port, there's no SD card reader, there's no HDMI, but in a thin and ultralight portable, I'm not surprised. And I love the fact that Lenovo makes it super easy to get inside this laptop. All you need to do is loosen the captive Phillips head screws. There are 5 of them. And once you do that, you can pull off the bottom plate. I was able to use my hands, but you can use a guitar pick or a pry tool if you feel like you need that. And once you do that, you're in. Now, that was very easy. Now, once inside, you'll notice the 2 fans for cooling. We'll talk about the thermals, fan noise in the upcoming full review. And you'll notice a 51.5 watt-hour battery. And so far, my initial battery test, I'm seeing over 11 hours on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits. So it's looking really good on the battery so far. It's looking like a really efficient chipset. So you're probably looking at about 8 to 9 hours in mixed usage with this device, a lot better than what we've been seeing out of that 12th gen Intel P-Series processor, that's for sure. But of course, that's just my initial test. I have a lot more formal testing to do. I'll report my findings in that full review. Now, as far as what's user upgradable, one thing that is not is the RAM. That's soldered into the motherboard, but the good news is they're using the faster LP DDR5 RAM, and it's running in dual channel mode. Now, you can configure this with up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, but my review unit has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and so far it's working really well. Now, as far as the SSD is concerned, this supports PCIe Gen 4 speeds, although judging by these reads and writes we see on the 512 gigabyte SSD included with my review unit, these are looking like Gen 3. Don't get me wrong, these are fast speeds, just not the faster Gen 4 speeds we normally see. And as far as wireless is concerned, this has Wi-Fi 6E along with a Bluetooth 5.2 combo card soldered into the motherboard, and both are working well so far. And again, since it is soldered in, you won't be able to upgrade it later on. But again, both are working really well. Now, in the upper left-hand corner is a space for the optional 4G LTE. It's a Cat16 modem, and that's going to be great for the mobile professional that wants not only a secure, but always-on connection on the road. That's a nice option to go with. Of course, you'll pay extra for that. And I don't know anything about 5G just yet, but I imagine there will be a 5G option offered later this year. Again, don't quote me on that. There's nothing official, but that's what I would imagine is coming. And when it comes to the display, there are 3 options. There's a 13.3-inch 1920 by 1200 Full HD Plus with the anti-glare coating on it. It's a non-touch display, and that gets up to 400 nits. Or you can go with the one I have here today, 1920 by 1200. Touch display with an anti-reflective and anti-smudge coating, low power display, 400 nits as well, with a low blue light filter. And then finally, there is a 13.3-inch 2.8K OLED display that's 2880 by 1800. That has an anti-reflective and anti-smudge coating. It's a touchscreen. It's also a Dolby Vision display that can get as bright as 400 nits, and that also has a low blue light filter. Now, that OLED display should be absolutely gorgeous, but I would imagine won't do quite as good on its battery life. And while the OLED display is probably gorgeous, I would imagine we've seen it before in other devices, this one I have here today might be the one to go with for better battery life, and it is simply excellent in its own right. It's got really good brightness. I measured 405 nits. That is more than the 400 nits they claim, and it didn't have too much glare or reflection. So far, it's looking really good. And you're looking at some really deep blacks, good white point, good contrast, everything you'd want on an IPS display. It's there, excellent viewing angles. It's also a color accurate display with a Delta E score of 0.86. Remember, anything below 2 is considered color accurate. This does not disappoint. And it has really good coverage of the color gamut. 100% sRGB, 80% Adobe RGB, 81% of the DCI P3 wide color gamut, and 75% NTSC. So this is a really decent choice if you are a content creator that does Lightroom, Photoshop, color grading, and of course, video editing. And it's also a touch display that was very responsive. Pinch to zoom worked well, and navigating through the OS with your finger worked like a charm. Love having that convenience feature. And so far, watching movies on Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, it's all been great in terms of consuming media. I like the slim bezels that it has. It gives a nice, sleek, and modern look. And it also will do better in terms of the battery life if you go with this IPS option over the 2.8K OLED display. That's going to use more battery life, although that's going to be gorgeous in its own right. So this is the front-facing 1080p IR camera on the brand new ThinkPad Z13. Now this, as I said, IR camera, meaning you can log in with Windows Hello. Setup was easy, it's worked well so far. There is a fingerprint scanner located on the keyboard. Setup was easy with that as well. That worked well with Windows Hello as well when you're using your finger. Now, as far as a shutter switch, there is a physical key actually on the keyboard that allows you to turn it off, giving you more security and privacy. Now, what do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of the array mics? Looking good in my opinion, but I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in that comment section below. And for those of you wondering, yes, you can open the lid with one finger. Now, once you do open it up, I'm loving this edge-to-edge keyboard. It has been really great so far. Now, as far as the key travel, a little bit on the shallow side, but it still has good tactility and has been comfortable to type on for extended periods of time so far in the initial use that I've had it. So far, I'm liking what I'm seeing. And it has a multi-stage backlight that allows you to work in a dark room or a dimly lit environment. It worked well against these dark keys, so that's been pretty good. It's also a spill-resistant keyboard. That's going to allow you to survive maybe a coffee spill or some water. That's also really good. That's very welcome here, like we see on the ThinkPads of the other ones in the line. So here's the touchpad, or the force pad as they're calling it. And there's this like raised grooves here. I'm not sure what the deal is. Here's the TrackPoint, and it also has the TrackPoint, but this time around it's a dual purpose TrackPoint that allows you to navigate like a mouse or double tap to open the communications quick menu. That's pretty interesting. I'll delve more into that in the upcoming full review. I didn't have it long enough to really play with that, but that looks pretty interesting. Now, this is running the AMD Ryzen 7 Pro 6850U. That's a 8-core, 16-thread processor from AMD, of course, and it's working out pretty well. Notice the single-core and multi-core scores here, the 8775. That is a good multi-core score, and it's also proving so far to be a very efficient chipset, showing good battery life, and it will throttle down under heavy load because it is such a thin and light laptop. And when I ran that Cinebench R23, which is a sustained heavy workload test, more than 10 minutes, you will notice those results, although they still showed pretty decent numbers. Now, I'm going to talk about this in the upcoming full review, but the fact of the matter is it didn't get overly hot in terms of the surface temperatures, as you can see from the thermal imaging camera that I'm using here, with a few hot spots here and there, but remained relatively cool to the touch, and that's good. Now, as far as the fan noise is concerned, they will ramp up when you're in that performance mode under heavy load, but it didn't get overly loud, so that's going to be good if you want to get work done, not too distracting. Now, this has integrated Radeon graphics to the 680M, and I'm seeing pretty decent numbers in terms of the Firestrike and Time Spy score. But again, I need to do further testing, but it's looking pretty decent in that regard. We'll see if you can game on this and heavy sustained workloads and stuff like that. That'll all be reported in my upcoming full review. Now, when it comes to the audio, there are two bottom-firing Dolby Atmos speakers, and they really work well in terms of the volume. There's a hint of bass, and the mid sounded pretty good. Of course, I need to do some further testing with it, but the initial sound test so far looking good. Now, let's take a listen to Epidemic Sound, and if you want to save 10% off Epidemic Sound, see the link in the description below. Now, let's give it a listen. All right, people, 24 hours with the ThinkPad Z13 here for 2022. This brand new laptop, which I think is going after the XPS crowd based on the design, based on the aesthetics, and the overall looks. This is going to give it a nice run for the money. And so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing out of that AMD Ryzen 6000 series processor. It's showing that it's efficient, giving good battery life in my initial testing, and it stayed relatively cool and quiet. This is looking like one we want to take a look at. I'm going to delve further into this in the full review. I'll report my findings and see if this is really worth your money. But so far, it's looking good. So what do you think about this bad boy, the Z13? Now this is that vegan leather cover. This is an option. Of course, you can go with the other colors that they offer, but I really am liking this vegan leather. It gives it a nice high-end premium feel. I like the boxy look to this. I like the nice squared off edges on this. It almost reminds me of the iPhone in terms of the boxy look, but this is really an interesting device in terms of the aesthetics. What I think they're going after here is the XPS crowd, and I think they're going to give them a run for the money. It's looking good, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of that Ryzen 7 Pro, the 6850U. Although you will notice some thermal throttling under heavy load. When I did my Cinebench R23, you notice that. That is not unexpected on a thin and light ultra portable as we have here. Now, the initial battery test that I just ran did well, got over 11 hours on my continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits. This is an 8 to 9 hour device, it's looking like. Of course, I need to do all my full testing, but that's looking good in terms of power efficiency, and it didn't get overly hot as you saw from the thermal imaging as far as those surface temperatures are concerned. Fan noise wasn't loud. It was actually pretty good, even under heavy load. Again, these are all initial impressions. I still have a lot of testing to do, so stay tuned. That is coming very soon. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.